The Hogsty is brought to you by TicketClub.com, your one-stop shop for live events nationwide. Whether you're looking for game, theater, or live performance tickets, don't sweat it. TicketClub.com has you covered. So make sure you're going there for all your live entertainment needs, and make sure you're clicking over to them from the banner at the top of thehogsty.com.
By fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Welcome to the Hogsty, DC's unofficial leading source for all your Redskins and NFL content. Another episode tonight, this one a preview of the Vikings game on Thursday night. That's tonight by the time you hear this podcast. And boy, is it a big matchup as it sees team centerpieces Kirk Cousins, Case Keenum, and Adrian Peterson all face off against their former team. My name's Sean Conti, and I have Steve Thomas and Alex Zeese here with me tonight. How you fellas doing?
Oh, man. This is one of these previews that I'm just not excited about doing, not because I don't enjoy gabbing about the Redskins, but, don't we all really know what's going to happen?
I feel the same way, but also just because you guys know my disdain for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, is I don't like it much either, and, because especially like when, the Redskins are traveling, because we can't have a Thursday Night Football at FedEx Field where somebody has to come to us.
No.
And we have to travel to these things. And so it's like they had a game Sunday, they're, recovering Monday, they've literally not practiced at all.
Right.
And now we're going to walk right into facing one of the most high-powered offenses in football. That's nice. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and a tough defense to boot. This one's going to be tough. Lots of big names matching up against people that they formerly played with, so you've got to imagine that emotions are going to run high for this one. But let's just jump into it. Do you guys want to start with the Redskins' underwhelming offense, or should we start with Kirk Cousins, because they've been on a roll, and that's kind of probably where this conversation's going to end up anyway?
Well, let me do injuries, because there's actually some big names
That's actually true. You're right. I know a couple of them. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So, the Redskins injury report had a whole long list because, Redskins, DeShazier Everett, Josh Harvey, Clemens, Wes Martin, Monte Nicholson, Josh Norman, Adrian Peterson, Steven Sims, Chris Thompson, Vernon Davis, Ryan Kerrigan, Donald Penn, and Case Keenum. And of those, the ones that are out, for sure out for Thursday night, are Everett, Clemens, Martin, Thompson, and Davis. So Thompson and Davis are the big names on there, plus DeShazier Everett, the starter at safety. Now, the Vikings have a whole long
some big
list
ones too.
Yeah. So Adam Thielen has already been ruled out.
Well, that's good for us.
Their leading receiver, by some measures at least.
Exactly.
That's big.
Exactly. By some measures.
Yeah, and a bunch of folks were on the injury list, but it looks like they're going to play because they practice Wednesday. Everson Griffin, Xavier Rhodes, Ben Gideon, Eric Kendricks. They had a whole list of starters. But of those, it looks like everybody's healthy but Thielen. So that's a good thing for the Redskins. Probably won't matter, but that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we could, I don't know, let's just go ahead and start there. So, Thielen, you're right. That's a huge thing for him to be out for this game because he kills defenses. But he's leading in points. He's not leading in yards. That goes to Diggs. So they're still going to be able to move this ball. They can still run the ball. Even without Thielen, we got our work cut out for us on this one. It's a tough matchup.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And, the thing that scares me the most is Diggs is their speedy, deep threat. And we all know that if that means Josh Norman's going to be covering him as the number one, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Josh Norman with an injury on top of that.
Yeah.
Because he's not healthy either.
No, he's not.
Remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's my thought, though. After watching them and looking at the numbers and thinking about this, looking at what they've done this year, here's the thing. Dalvin Cook drives this offense,
yes.
Okay? It's not Diggs, and it's not Kirk Cousins. It's really Dalvin Cook. They've only had 189 pass attempts on the year, which is 30th in the NFL. Conversely to that, they are third in rushing. So even though Cousins has done his normal thing where he has great stats and yet he blows it in big moments, all that stuff. The truth of the matter is Dalvin Cook is what makes everything go. And this guy is rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. He's fifth in attempts. He's first in yardage. This dude is scary, and I think it really matters what defensive front shows up. Is it the defensive front that showed up against the Eagles?
Yeah.
Or is it the one that showed up against the 49ers?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You're right. The entire thing runs through him, even passing plays, because they do a ton of play action and misdirection, and people bite on that all the time because Cook is such a threat. You kind of have to respect it. That's where they get you up over the top. So I don't really know what you do except, say, play smarter. Like, I don't exactly know what you coach up this week to prepare for that, other than, you've got to make sound decisions in the moment, because that's what it comes down to with a team like this. Yeah, play better, be smarter. That's really all you can say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is what he's done. Listen to this. He put up 154 yards rushing against Green Bay.
Right.
110 against the Raiders, 132 against the Giants, 142 against the Detroit Lions, 111 against Atlanta.
Yeah.
Now, the saving grace to this, here's the saving grace, though. Notice who we just talked about. Green Bay, give it to you. Great team. Atlanta stinks this year. The Giants stink. The Detroit Lions don't stink, but their defense isn't great. Against the two teams they've played with great defenses, they locked him down. The Chicago Bears, 35 yards rushing, 14 attempts. The Eagles, 16 rushing attempts on 41 yards. Now, we're in the other side with the dregs, with Atlanta.
Right.
But I'm just saying, good defenses have focused on Cook and have locked him down and done well against him. So it is possible, just probably not for the Redskins.
Well, and I mean,
right.
The one thing we hope is that what we've been seeing lately is that front seven's kind of solidified in the last few games. Last week could be a mirage.
Much better.
All the water and stuff like that.
Right.
The conditions really made it impossible for a lot of offensive play to be had. So who knows there? But, I'm not totally pessimistic that we can't at least contain Cook to, maybe 100. He won't have one of these 140 games like last week, hopefully. But the one thing that I think actually helps us tremendously is the thing that's killed our defense when it comes to running backs has also been that, the receiving ability of some of these guys. And Cook can't catch or they just don't use him in that at all for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, he put up 86 yards receiving against the Giants.
Did he?
That was the best. Yeah, he did. 6 receptions, 86 yards. But every other game, 37 yards, 33 yards, 35 yards. This is not Marshall Faulk.
Yeah, he's not a dual threat guy, generally speaking.
But he can do it. But he's not. Yeah. It's no coincidence that the Vikings are first in the NFL in red zone offense. And that Dalvin Cook has 8 touchdowns.
Right.
The dude has been unstoppable in the red zone. I don't know. Again, I don't know what you do about it. I think, Alex, you made the best point. It's like was the defense against the 49ers a mirage brought on by a deluge of water and a horrible field, or have they really gotten better? I just throw my hands up about this.
I mean, my gut tells me mirage, just because nothing's gone right for us so far. So,
and Matt Breida isn't Dalvin Cook either. Let's say that. I mean, the Vikings are a much better rushing team. To me, the wild card in this, it's funny because it's like something has to give, right? Because here we have the Redskins' historical precedent of being awful in prime time. It's Thursday night, they're terrible. But then you also have the Kirk Cousins effect, and Kirk Cousins has been awful under the lights too,
right? Including his time in Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly right. And Adam Thielen was openly criticizing him to the media like 3 weeks ago. Remember. So it's like what Cousins is going to show up in this game.
Right.
Yeah, literally.
Is it going to be awesome Cousins or not?
I like that you say 3 weeks ago, because the last 3 weeks he's been killing it.
Fire.
That's the unfortunate truth of that. But no, you're right. You're right. He's a totally inconsistent guy. He's as inconsistent as he ever has been. So you're right. But no. I don't know. Coming off of something like 10 touchdowns or something in 3 games, right? Or something like that.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's
I'm not holding out
Kirk
hope
do
that
that
they're going to be
before.
able to shut him down. You're right, and he always comes back down to earth, so you're right. I tell you what, though, I have seen their offensive line is pretty okay, but their right side is weak. This could be a better week to get after the quarterback for a guy like Kerrigan to wake up a little bit. If you want to know a matchup that might be our saving grace and our ability to get to the quarterback, that might be the one. Otherwise, just look at the weapons they got. I mean, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Diggs, Cook, and Kyle Rudolph was enough.
Yeah, Rudolph. We haven't talked about Rudolph
forget
yet.
Forget about Adam Thielen. It's not like he's their only weapon. It's, I just hate to say, I really hate to see Kirk Cousins whoop up on the Redskins. I really do. But see, he's one of these guys, to me, he's not a franchise quarterback, Kirk Cousins. And the reason he isn't, to me, is that he doesn't make anybody better. What he does is he can make himself, he can do really well, and he's got a great team around him, but he's not the type of guy that's going to bring players up like Tom Brady.
No.
But in this case, he's got these guys around him, and they're actually on an incredible tear right now. So, I mean, it's like, are we going to get primetime Cousins, or are we going to get awesome Cousins?
I mean, I look at Kirk right now, and I see the same thing we saw when he was at his best, which was the 2015. He had Jackson and Garcon on the outside, and he had a bunch of options inside. That was him at his best here, and it's a very similar thing. You've given him 2 elite receivers. He's got a good tight end, and in this case, he's got a very good running back, too, to help him with the play action, which we all knew was his strength.
Yep, exactly.
I think the key is you can't bite on the play action on the outside. I think what you need to do is you need to make sure your D-line is just keying off on maybe the running backs, or keep a spy on the running back with one of the linebackers. Everyone else just keep going after Cousins, because his success comes off play action buying him space.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be able to say, just stop Cook and you stop the Vikings, but that's just not the case. I mean, and they can't let. I don't think Stephon Diggs is the type of guy who you can just go like cover zero.
No,
on,
you absolutely have to have
meaning
a
no
safety
help over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do, and so that hurts the running game.
It does.
And that's, I mean, it's all kind of married together. That's partly why Dalvin Cook has been good, but that's also why he's made the Vikings better. So it's just a really, really, really tough matchup. I guess here's what I would say about it. This is not the week to have a bunch of stupid mistakes. It's not the week for them to get messed up in coverage, for Josh Norman to forget to cover, the post.
Right.
For the safety to be out of place. And don't forget that Troy Apke is probably going to be starting, okay? I mean, that's not good. Troy Apke stinks. But he's probably going to be out there starting.
The one thing that might be his saving grace is he's probably the only guy on our secondary fast enough to at least keep up with Diggs in a foot race.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything else I don't trust.
Not
but
probably.
He's the only one with any speed.
Not probably. He is the only one who can keep up with Diggs. So it's just a real problem. I think, to me, the key, like you said, one of you said, you just got to – if Kirk Cousins gets rattled, that's when things go badly.
Right. We've seen that before.
So you got to rattle this. Yeah, we've seen this movie before. So you rattle him, you sack him over and over and over again. Again, this is hypothetical and easier said than done. But to me, that's the way to go. You try not to give up the big play. Don't give up the long touchdown to Diggs. Don't let Dalvin Cook rattle off 154 yards, and you hit Kirk Cousins repeatedly. Maybe you have a shot.
Right.
Probably not, but maybe you do.
God, it is amazing to think about where we are. We've had, 6 quarterbacks since Kirk Cousins last suited up for us, have started for us. It's just something like that. I mean, it's just amazing to think.
Yeah, 4 last year and then 2 more this year.
It's incredible to think where we've come. And it's sad, too, to think about facing off against a guy. 2 more this year. There you go. It gets better and better.
Some more offensive numbers, to throw at you guys. They have given up a decent amount of sacks. Cousins has been sacked 12 times. He's just ranked 12th. They're only okay. Strangely enough, they're kind of in the middle of the pack in time of possession, which is odd considering how good their running game is. And so I don't know what to make of that quite really, they're kind of middle of the pack on third down conversions. But here's the real key to me. Lost my train of thought. Passing yards per attempt. They're way up there in passing yards per attempt, 9.1.
Well, they have two deep ball receivers. What do you expect?
Yeah. I mean, I believe that's first, and I didn't write it down. But I believe that's first in the NFL.
It's up there.
At least top 5.
It's up there.
That's definitely not because Kirk Cousins is throwing 80 yards downfield, because we all seen that movie too. It's because they've got so much speed and talent in the wide receiver core.
Yeah. Okay, well said. Let's move on to the other side of the ball. I mean, this is going to be definitely a tough one. So we need our good side of the defense to show up. Moving on to the offense, can I just ask you guys, has anything changed? Are we still, Steve? You and I kind of got in a mini argument about this last week. Are you still happy to see Case Keenum suiting up for the team? See him starting? Has anything changed in your mind going into the Vikings matchup?
I mean, I wrote a whole piece on my takeaways article this week that said I'm tired of the Case Keenum experience.
Right.
So I mean, that ought to answer that question for you.
Okay, good deal.
I mean, he sucked. Okay, he's had one good game and a half of another good game.
Yeah.
Or at least one mediocre game, and beyond that, he's been terrible. His stats. This is a case where his numbers don't really tell the full story, because he's got a decent quarterback rating, 97.6.
Yeah.
He's 71. That's wrong. Sorry. Wrong list. His quarterback rating is 94.5. Completion percentage is decent, 66%. 9 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. But we've also watched him.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Eyeball test tells you something
We know
different.
the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The eyeball test tells you he hasn't been effective, and so I'm tired of him. There's always an excuse as to why you can't put Dwayne Haskins out there. And this week it's, there's no time to prepare. There's always going to be a reason why he can't play. Just throw the man out there and let him play. I'm tired.
Yeah, I think obviously they're not going to do it this week. I think if he has another 150-yard type game like he's been having, you got to call it at this point. You gave Haskins some extra time. And keep in mind, the whole idea, once you drafted Haskins, was just buy him time to, delay him a little bit so he doesn't have to start all 16 games, get some more time with, understanding the offense. But, I mean, that's all out the window anyway because you got rid of the coach. So, just go with it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, this is not the game, to me, where it's going to go well if we have 26 rushes and 12 pass attempts.
No, it will not be.
Yeah, because I don't think you can play that way against the Vikings, because Vikings are going to run score up on us. There's going to have to be a balance. Yes, the Redskins need to be a run-first team, but there needs to be a balance. And they need to get the ball to Terry McLaurin as much as they can. He's our only weapon worth a damn, that scares anybody at least. He needs to get a weapon. And let's throw one more thing out there. Adrian Peterson has a high ankle sprain and a low ankle sprain, both. Now, we all know that he has this supernatural ability to recover. He came back from an ACL in less than a year, and but still,
he wants to play.
High ankle
I get
sprain.
it.
Yeah, I know. Of course, he wants to play, but how effective can he really be with a high ankle sprain that happened 4 days ago?
Right.
Yeah.
I remember having an ankle sprain.
And Chris Thompson's out.
Yeah.
Chris Thompson's out too, and so then it's like the Wendell Smallwood show.
Yeah, we're so thin at running. We're so thin at running back right now. That's what I was going to say, Steve. With Thompson banged up too. This isn't going to be the week where you see as many runs as you did last week, and we forget about the pass completely. I feel like it's going to be more likely the opposite. I don't know. This is a team. This is a defense that's doing pretty darn well with takeaways, I believe. They get a lot of interceptions. They recover a lot of fumbles. And we are one of the worst teams for losing the ball. So even in that measurable, it's just a nasty matchup with this defense.
Well, I have that.
Oh, good.
So they have 7 interceptions on the year, which is 8 ranked 8th, and they are +2 in turnover ratio, which is 14. They have received 13 turnovers, which means that there are 5 fumble recoveries.
Okay.
So Because 6, because it's 7 interceptions, which means 13 are fumble recoveries. So yeah, they've had their share. I mean, the Redskins, in contrast, are -2.
Right. We're giving up a
close.
ton. Yeah,
But we've had a lot of interceptions this year, or we've done okay there at least. It's not like
I mean, the Redskins have had a lot of interceptions. Yeah, they have. I mean, they've had 8, and that includes like the non-throwing game last week. Against the 49ers.
Right. So we've done okay there. We just turn it over a lot more. So.
Yeah, I just, this is one of these weeks that usually we can kind of carve out a path to victory that if things go right, they can win again. I just don't see it. I really don't.
Yeah.
The only thing I hang my hat on is if Kirk Cousins poops a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he's hadn't been known to do. But, you have that with tide of history of the Redskins being horrible. I don't know. I mean, this is a really hard
It is. And, some other things to kind of factor in there. We want to run the ball. Well, the one thing the Vikings defense is kind of better at is stopping the run versus the pass. They're not, terrible against the pass, but I think they're holding people to 100 yards a game on the ground or something like that.
Yeah, I have that because of course I do. Teams are averaging 3.8 yards per attempt against them, and they are 11th in total rushing yards. So 3.8 yards per attempt, that's 9th in the NFL. So they're good but not great. This is not the Patriots and the 49ers.
No.
Their defense is distinctly less than that. So it's not like this is a lockdown defense. I'm just saying our offense has been pathetic in the past several weeks. It's just been atrocious.
Yeah.
I do have. You want some depressing numbers?
Which ones?
Because I actually took the time to do this, so I want to get it out on the air. Okay, so the Redskins' Thursday night record. You ready for this? This is unbelievable. In their entire franchise history, the Redskins are 6-13 on Thursday nights. Yeah, 4-8 in the Dan Snyder era, and then 2-6 in their last 8. So, by every measure, that's just awful. 2-8 in their last 8. That's 25% winning percentage.
Yeah.
Total primetime games, because I did this too. 5-15 in their last 20 primetime games.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then they're 15-26 in the Dan Snyder era. So primetime is Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night.
Yeah.
So just not good. That's even bad, even considering the Redskins' overall record. They are distinctly worse in primetime.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but on our website, or in the chats, I got bored and I calculated our homecoming game record, and we're something like 4 for 6 in those.
Oh,
and I was like,
that's
that's
wonderful.
actually on par with Redskins just being terrible. You
mean, wait a minute, so you mean 4 of 6?
No, 4 and 6.
4 of 6?
4 and 6.
Oh, 4 and 6. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's about
4
what I would
of 10,
expect.
let's say that.
Because listen, the dregs of the earth have to play a homecoming game too. So,
of course.
they are the weak sisters. So there's no other weak sister to bring in and have a homecoming game.
Right.
So you can't. The Dolphins game was in Miami.
Right.
Exactly. And
Oh,
it's
my
not
goodness.
like they pick it.
Okay.
It's always one of the last games in October.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, listen, I know I was okay with the homecoming thing. In the world of Bruce Allen's foibles, it's not one, but it is kind of dumb. It is kind of stupid to have a homecoming game, as a pro. I just don't care. It's fine. Invite the guys back, but calling it a homecoming game, pretending it's like high school is stupid.
Right.
It's just another drop in the stupid bucket. It's not making any waves. It's just another drop.
I mean, colleges do this too.
Of course.
It's not like this is, but still, I mean, and of course you have it on the week of the worst weather against one of the best teams in the NFL.
And you have no fans
perfect.
left at the stadium.
Yeah, and there's the people who were invited to homecoming were the only people at the game.
Right.
Last week.
Perfect.
Okay, but anyway, so Vikings defense. Any other notes here?
Yeah. Let's give some closing thoughts on this one before we do
I know
score
Detroit
predictions.
lit them up, but we don't have a quarterback like Detroit.
Yeah, no, we don't have that anywhere close to that. So, in terms of numbers that maybe they're vulnerable at, they're not that good in the red zone. They're 21st in the NFL in the red zone, so they give up their share of touchdowns.
Interesting, because
conversion.
that's interesting because I thought they were actually had held most of their opponents to low scores. They just gave up, some yards.
Well, they haven't given up very many points. They've only given up 123 points on the season, which is 6th. But I'm also telling you that from a percentage basis, 61% of the opponent's red zone trips have resulted in touchdowns, which is 21st. So I don't know how to reconcile that really, but I mean, it kind of is what it is. Quarterback, I mean, a lot of these numbers are fairly pedestrian. Like quarterback rating, 92.7. Opposing team's quarterback rating. That's middle of the pack, lower middle of the pack. I mean, passing yards, lower middle of the pack. Passing yards per attempt, pretty good. 6.7. It's not a defense that's a true lockdown defense, but when you're talking about the Redskins offense, which has got to be the worst in the NFL, or at least second to the Vikings, I mean, it doesn't take much to lock this offense
Dolphins.
down. To the Dolphins, sorry. Yeah. It doesn't take much to lock down the Redskins offense.
No, it does not. Okay, well then let's do some predictions. What do you say, guys?
Sure.
You want to do this?
Let's put this thing to bed.
All right. I just don't see it happening. I think we're all going to be in agreement on this one. I don't see the Redskins eking out a win on this. Do I see them getting shut out again? No. I'm going to say the Redskins put up 7. I think they get a score. Minnesota, call it 21. 21-7 Vikings.
21? Okay.
21.
Okay.
So the Redskins have scored exactly 27 points in a month. Which
awesome.
Some teams score that in one game.
Some teams score that in one half.
Yeah, exactly. And the Redskins have scored that in 4 games. You throw out the obvious history and all of that stuff. I mean, the Vikings have, 28 against the Giants, 38 against the Eagles, 42 against the Lions. I just hate to say it, but I don't think this is a Kirk Cousins. I don't think he's going to Kirk it. I think he's going to do pretty well because it's just the Redskins haven't been that good. But their defense have looked better. They did against the 49ers. So I'm not going to say it's going to be 42 to nothing, but I think this is like, 28. I'm going to say 28-13.
28-13. I think I'm kind of going to go with Sean's low and Steve's high on my answer here. Because I think Kirk may Kirk it, but it wouldn't matter at this point. It doesn't really matter what Kirk Cousins does. He could throw like 10 passes and they'll still probably beat us. But I think this is going to be something around 28-7 Vikings.
28-7?
Yeah, that's probably fair. I mean, I think it's going to – basically, I think this game is never going to be close. No. The Redskins may score once or twice and make it look better than it is, but I think the Vikings will never not be in control of this game.
I think Terry McLaurin will get another touchdown, and that'll be it.
Probably, yeah. I mean, if you want to hang your hat on something, they've been really bad on kick return defense. They're 27th in the NFL in that. So let's hope that maybe Steven Sims can rip one off.
I refuse to hang my hat on that.
Maybe that's what we have to hang our hats on. Mm-hmm. Hang your hats, folks, on the fact that they are bad on kick return defense. Yeah. Of course, they've only had 6 returned all season, so it's not really a statistically relevant number. But let's just pretend that doesn't matter.
Okay,
got
it. I'm going to choose to believe that it does matter, and they do stink, even though we don't know that they do, and it isn't.
Okay.
You got to arrange things however you need to in your own mind, Steve. I always say that. All right.
That's exactly right.
Cool. Then we will cut this one off here, but we have a quick turnaround because we have another episode coming right after this to recap the game. Hopefully we have good news. Until then, check back in on us at Twitter and on our website at thehogside.com, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.
All right.
Cut.
I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Okame.
We are the Super Media Bros Podcast.
Each week, we give a comedically informative take on movies,
music,
television,
video games,
and much more.
Put your shades on and listen to all episodes on supermediabrospodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Yeah,
Shades on!
we're off.